Alright, I should be live. Let's see. Bear with us, everyone, if we are live. We're getting it worked out.
We're having technical difficulties. Oh, my whole stream went away. That's just fantastic.
Oh no.
This is just absolutely
amazing.
This is... Oh, hey, we are live on Apogee. Okay.
Hey, we are live on Apogee.
Alright, it's working on one.
Alright, it's working on one.
Okay, I think it's going.
Alright.
Okay. Hold on.
Hey, everyone.
Make sure on my phone.
I'm glad I'm not the only one that does that.
I got my phone as like my second. Yo, it's live. Let's go. Hello, everybody. Oh
Hello.
my gosh, who left?
Did someone leave? Oh boy. Wow.
Hello, everybody.
We're getting it figured out, guys. Let me go to some...
We have lots of
Okay.
technical difficulties when you bear to hop back on here.
This is,
That's weird. Why is it just like as I'm editing it moves away?
Okay. People in the chat. Okay. TJ, can you say hi? Because I want to make sure everybody can hear like everybody else.
Yes, hi, I'm right here.
Okay, guys, could you hear TJ say hi, real quick?
I'm gonna do something quick. Displays.
We'll just cut to the janky layout right now on my end until our sixth camera comes back.
Guys, I need you to answer my question. Can you hear TJ?
Yep, I'm getting yup in my chat for that.
I'm not. Everybody's just ignoring my questions in my chat. You know, have the best.
TJ's loud and clear, although Ken, I'm louder than everyone. Okay.
Yes. Okay. So they can hear people. Okay. I know my stream is all messed up. You guys are gonna have to bear with me until Barry joins back again because I'm not just gonna make this go. Okay, there we go. Everybody can hear TJ now. That's excellent.
Yeah, video should fix itself once we had a member leave, and once they join back, things should.
For my stream, for my chat, guys, it's been a while since you've seen him, but here's my lizard again. You can kind of see him there.
We're getting lizard segments on my stream, but alright.
I'm sorry, what about a dinosaur?
Little miniature dinosaur?
A little miniature dinosaur? I do have a miniature dinosaur right here. This is a little bit. There might be a significant delay. Yeah, where did Barry go? Did he say?
I'm gonna try to track him down.
We get, 5
Right
minutes
when we start, one of them fails.
Okay,
Welcome
so
to Leader Leafeon.
for my chat, while we wait, is there any like SOS related questions you want to know the answer to? Because I can do that for you.
Wait, hey, how about before we even get to that, let's all start and introduce ourselves.
That's a good idea.
I'm gonna reframe and I'm gonna kill Barry's camera really quick.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to do the same.
Add him back.
I'm just gonna wait. Sorry, you guys are gonna have to deal with this for a while.
So let's start. Let's kick it off with Andrew. Andrew, why don't you tell us, what do you do? What are you excited about with Artemis? And just introduce yourself to everybody.
Well, I'm basically just a fan, sort of. Don't really work in the industry very much. It was about 5-6 years ago where I got interested. I actually just watched that show Cosmos with Neil deGrasse Tyson and got like super interested into like the astrophysics and stuff like that. And then that just progressed into learning about rockets and I spend a lot of my time learning about this stuff now every day, and I just really enjoy it. So that's kind of it for me.
Oh, nothing wrong with that. I'm gonna throw it to Ken now. I'm just gonna run the stream. Ken, why don't you introduce yourself, man?
Hey, I'm Ken. Some of you know me as Apogee. I'm kind of all over on Twitter between those two accounts. I started a YouTube channel about a year ago. Been heavily interested in space for the past 5 or 6 years, and I knew how to do graphic design and stuff like that, so I thought, why not make a fun video channel, and met all these cool people on Twitter and YouTube and other places, so celebrating Artemis here with everyone.
awesome. Mike, why don't you jump in, man? Tell us about yourself.
Yeah. I've been, a space fan since probably 2010, 2011, roughly. When, honestly, I hate to say it, I'm a Kerbal bro. They got me into it. I mean, I was always, Florida based, so I always had rockets in my backyard. But it was right about that time in my life, as I was, going through high school. With Kerbal, funnily enough, I was already imagining a game I didn't really like it. Build rockets because it just seemed so logical to me. But as I learned about it, I also started researching in my free time at school, like Wikipedia. I couldn't play on games in school, so I read Wikipedia, and I read things like back then it wasn't even Artemis, it was just exploration mission with SLS, Orion, Falcon 9. And as I just read, and I became so immersed, and it's just steadily now. Got a lot of promise, a lot of things going on. I'm just right now. This is probably the best time for this community as a whole. Seeing as we finally got Artemis going, got Starship going. So let somebody else take over because I can rant.
That's great. That's great. Abdiel, why don't you hop in and introduce yourself, man?
Hey, thanks everybody. So so nice to meet you all. My name is Abdiel. Let's see. Interest in space has been in for quite some time. I've had a couple of chances to do a lot of different NASA activities while I was in high school and in college. I think the major one that kind of solidified the effort was getting the chance to do an internship over at Kennedy Space Center for the last space shuttle launch, STS-135. That was probably the moment where I said to myself, hey, this is the industry that I want to be a part of and the industry that I want to be able to support and work with. And so fast forward a couple of years from now, I had the chance of working with NASA for 4 years, where I worked 2 years technology development for the Exploration Ground Systems program, and then 2 years working as an integration engineer for that same program, but supporting the vehicle assembly building and the rotating and processing and search facility. And we can get into that a little bit later in the stream. And then after we've completed all the efforts that had to do with Artemis 1, associated with SLS, and we had that first rollout, I had the great opportunity to transition over, and now I work for Blue Origin, supporting New Glenn Stage 1 as a aerospace system engineer. I guess as an added bit of fun, in the downtime, I also work for the Walt Disney Company, supporting monorail operations over here at the Disney Resort. So a lot of fun stuff. I get to say I get to do my hobbies as far as my job. So really exciting.
You work on like 2 of the largest rockets that are being made right now outside of Starship.
Thanks,
That's pretty incredible.
I guess Barry joined back in, so it's gonna be another camera fixing session real quick.
Oh yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, everybody stand by while we all adjust our cameras. Hold up.
There we go.
I was
Barry.
wondering why one of them was off.
Can I do a mic check while we're right here?
Excellent, Mike.
Okay.
There's no time like
Good.
15 minutes.
Drag. Rinse and repeat.
No, there it goes.
Oh,
Okay,
no.
wait.
How
wait,
are all
no,
these
okay,
cameras
hold on.
falling away?
Now Ken is in the middle of my screen. Okay.
I can see everybody now.
Okay.
So I'm on a
Yeah.
backup laptop. I've tried to do this outside with the palm tree in the background in the shade. My laptop overheated, so I took out my phone as a backup plan. It then overheated, so I'm inside now on a different laptop. My first laptop still hasn't recovered.
Talk about Florida problems.
Yeah, that's
All right, who's going next? I think Barry, since he's just came back, should go next.
All right, sounds good. My name is Barry Bonzak. I work at Lockheed Martin Space. I help build the Orion spacecraft. I'm a production planner, which means I'm kind of the intersection of engineering, the technician workforce, and the supply chain. So everything all comes together at the Kennedy Space Center, and I help plan the work for what's being done each week, as well as what's the long-term plan and schedule, and when are the parts needed, when is the engineering need to be released. I originally was inspired because I was in high school. I was part of the first robotics competition program, and I was able to meet a number of people that worked at NASA from multiple different centers. And then in college, when I was a finance major, believe it or not, I was mentoring a robotics team called Exploding Bacon, and they're sponsored by Lockheed Martin. And the other mentors on that team helped me get an internship at Lockheed Martin, so I've been there since 2009.
nice.
That's awesome, man. And the man who I don't think needs much introduction, at least from Twitter, David, would you mind telling us a little bit about
Well,
you, in particular your bearded dragon, though, and that needs an introduction as well.
Oh
or
yeah,
he needs
yeah.
one.
My lizard that has joined me today. He's just chilling off to the side. His name's Nova, but he's not really talking today, so I'll introduce myself instead. So my name is David Willis, and like Andrew, I'm pretty much just a big fan of SLS, and Orion and NASA, Artemis, and I've been a fan. I've not actually been a fan for as long as everybody else has. I became a fan after having seen the forward join for the first SLS launch. So ever since then, I've been a huge fan of SLS, and I've been doing as much as I can to like help people like be aware of the awesome orange rocket. So that's me.
That's awesome. And I'll go last. Hey, everybody, I'm TJ. I don't know, people know me from random different projects, but my most formal training in space exploration is I went to space camp as a kid, but personally and professionally, I'm just a storyteller and love telling the story of space. So I started my YouTube channel like 5 or 6 years ago now, back when we thought, this was around the corner. But it's been a really exciting journey to have that channel and work on that, and also very active on space Twitter and along all these people, which is how I got to know all of you. And I'm just excited to talk about this launch that we've been all so excited for, to return a crew-rated vehicle back to the moon for the first time in 50 years. And yeah, I guess maybe I can kick off the first question. Where the vehicle is Orion. We do have Barry here who has worked on Orion, has been around Orion, and I know Abdiel, you have too. Can you guys just kind of describe to us, like, what is it like to just be inside that capsule, and like in terms of the space, like what is it, if you're someone floating around in there, like, can you just describe the space a little bit, what it looks like and feels like?
So I think I better take that one first. It is about 33% larger than the Apollo capsule, so there's going to be plenty of room for the astronauts to do their thing, do their work. Spacecraft had. If you're not aware, the Apollo spacecraft didn't even have a toilet, and there's some really fun stories out there on YouTube. 3 astronauts went to I won't go into that, but the astronauts will be able to travel there, and also we're adapting the spacecrafts are installed. So I went inside the Artemis 1 crew module, but I peeked into the hatch of both 2 and 3.
And that's not even the only ones that exist right now either. That's the most exciting thing.
Oh yeah, and Exploration Flight Test 1. I was inside that one too after it came back.
Wow. Oh, that's even better.
Yeah, I did have a question about that. So for EFT1, what are the main differences in Orion between that one and this one flying? If you can elaborate,
sure.
Or are they very similar?
They're somewhat similar, but the Exploration Flight Test 1 was very much more developmental than Exploration Mission 1 is. Exploration Mission 1, Orion Exploration Mission 1, Artemis 1. So
you've been saying that for so long, you forgot.
I can't believe I said that. Artemis 1 is basically a production Orion spacecraft, just like 2 and 3 is going to be, with the exception of the things that support life and the things that the astronauts would use, like their touch screen panels, or actually, I'm not even sure if they're touch screen, but the 3-panel display, the hand controllers. There are seats in it, but there's a lot of mass simulators for things that are not needed because there aren't going to be astronauts inside of one. But those things hadn't even finished engineering yet as of Exploration Flight Test 1. That being said, Exploration Flight Test 1 was a fantastic flight that we flew back in 2014. It didn't go all the way to the moon, but did go 10 times further away than the space station. And it had radiation sensors, and it had the whole propulsion system, and it was a really good demonstration that the entire return to Earth system works, including all 11 parachutes, including the heat shield, including the back shells, and the radiation sensors really proved that the avionics are not going to be messed up from radiation coming into the spacecraft, because we flew it through the Van Allen belts, and twice through a really harsh portion of the Van Allen belts, a place where the Apollo spacecraft didn't even fly, just to really test out how sturdy are those avionics and the rest of the spacecraft.
Wow, that was a good answer. Thank you.
And David, I believe, I know me and you have talked about this, and the way Orion is even engineered from a structural standpoint, I believe it's using less parts, so it's lighter than the OFT-1 Orion.
Less welds. It's less welds.
Less welds.
Yeah, Orion gets a kind of a rep of being heavy, and even I remember earlier on into getting into space, I thought it was heavy, but when you look at I can't remember the math off the top of my head. It's right in line. In fact, it might be even lighter than Starliner. It's lighter, and it's close to Dragon. It's around 10 tons.
Mhm.
Someone might know
Something like
better
that.
than me,
Let me pull up my data sheet.
it's a much bigger capsule than either Starliner or Dragon, but it's really
Well, no, I
close
can
in
open
weight.
it up on this screen.
And you got to keep in mind, we could take some redundancy out to lose weight, but I don't think you really want to do that. For example, you have 4 computers that are all computing and making decisions and helping make the coding decisions on where to fly. And if one of those computers goes down, there's a whole extra computer backup ready to come back in. And the entire spacecraft, I could say that about the propulsion system, the environmental control life support system. If you look at one spacecraft, this thing has to be sturdy enough to get the astronauts to the moon and back and be able to avoid any type of disaster situation you can think of. So one spacecraft is really about 3 spacecraft worth of spacecraft stuff in that shape.
Yeah, there's a big part of NASA crew rating is dissimilar redundancy and like having backups, but a different backup that can do that task if the initial function proved to not work for whatever reason. That way you didn't have three of the same functioning item that, well, the first one didn't work, the other 2 might not work. So it's like it's 3 spacecraft, but also like 3 unique spacecraft in a lot of different ways.
I got a good question from Aravel in chat. Is Artemis 1's Orion going to have any cameras, like 360 cameras inside it or outside it?
I can talk about the cameras. If somebody, well, no, I think Barry, I'm sure can too. But I'm working on a video on this right now, which is why it's very top of mind for me.
Okay.
Let me give a short answer, then you can give a longer answer. How about that? Yes, there's going to be cameras inside the spacecraft. I don't know about 360 cameras, but there will be cameras inside the spacecraft and pointing out the windows.
Nice.
And there's going to be an app coming out soon where you're going to be able to just log in and look at it. And it's going to be really cool. All right, give the longer answer.
Wow. That's
So
awesome.
for Orion and its service module, there's 2 different sets of cameras. There's wired cameras and there's wireless cameras. These wired cameras are engineering cameras, are like mission critical cameras, and then the wireless cameras they're used, but they're not like the end of the world. These wireless cameras are basically GoPro Hero 4 Blacks that have been redone. It's the brains of the cameras and the sensor, but new optics and new housings and things of that nature to survive the potentially extreme environments that they're going to go into. Inside of Orion, there's 3 distinct cameras. There's one pointing out the hatch that will be recording, the forward hatch that will be recording the launch escape system flying away. And then there's another camera pointing towards the crew in quotes here, considering they're mannequins, to kind of show the public what the interior is going to look like. It's of my opinion, at least from what I can tell, that this is more of a for public affairs purposes. You know, people want to see what it's like inside the camera, inside the capsule. I'm sure that they're going to have a 0G indicator in there. I think they do actually.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it.
It's astronaut Snoopy.
Yeah,
Oh, Snoopy.
And then
Snoopy is our 0G indicator.
Yes, and then the third camera in Orion is going to be out one of the side windows. So those are the cameras inside of Orion. The cameras.
Are there going to be any microphones? That's a good question.
I can't remember the microphone answer. But in addition to, I think there's one other set of cameras on Orion, and they're also on the forward, outside of the forward hatch area. I believe there's 2 cameras pointing out. Okay. But those are the ones that are. Thank you, Siri. Sorry. Siri wanted to hop in there. That's what's on Orion, and then on the service module, there's a camera nestled between the service module and Orion that upon separation will take a look at the heat shield prior to re-entry. That's one of the wired cameras. There is a camera. There's two cameras that are used to basically capture the fairing separation to see how that went, and in case there's any issues, it's recorded. And then there's star tracker cameras, two of them, I believe, two or three of them. And then finally, the really fun cameras are the cameras at the end of the solar arrays. There's four of them, and they will basically, you can't turn them on their own. The solar array has to turn, but with the four solar arrays, we're going to have just absolutely incredible views of the spacecraft, but also of space, of the Earth, of the Moon, perspectives. It's like four selfie sticks almost.
And to confirm, these aren't live, correct? These will all be post recordings that we'll get.
So these cameras will be sending back a 1080p stream live. They record 4K locally, so we will get 4K footage later on. But the way it's designed is that they're sending the signals to these controllers. There's a controller on the service module, and there's a controller on Orion, and that controller is beaming the signal back to NASA to pull the different feeds. I don't believe they can get all the feeds simultaneously. I think that they can only pull, but there are capturing, so they will be able to pull footage live. And then the cameras shoot like 12 megapixel still images.
The 1080 view from one of the solar panels I'm really looking forward to, because I've seen several Orion renders from that perspective and always thought it was that's a cool creative render perspective, but I didn't know it was going to come true, That's awesome.
Yeah, and let me tell you, having seen some of the cameras while we were doing some testing at the LCC, not all of them, but some of them, the views are actually pretty impressive, especially the ones that are going to be riding on SLS as well. It'll be kind of similar to some of the views that you're going to be getting that you did back during the shuttle program. So similar camera views and whatnot. So yeah, be on the lookout for that. It's going to be great.
And Abdiel, you actually may be able to help me answer this question. So I was looking at the cameras on SLS, and yeah, they have a few that are expected from shuttle. They've got cameras looking at SRB SEP, and then there's one camera in the below the ICPS. I can't remember what the interstage section pointing up, but I noticed, and I maybe it's for monitoring the booster separation. But there's four cameras at the base of SLS pointing up, like towards the nose of the vehicle, which is a very unique position. I don't think I've ever seen cameras at the base of a booster pointing forward. Technically, they're typically pointing down at the ground or out to the side. Do you know what the purpose of those cameras are? I assume they were to monitor booster SEP, but do you know anything about that?
Some of them are for monitoring certain actions and activities that are occurring, through the different phases of the mission itself. So it could be just to either monitor a certain separation event that's going to happen, monitor the actual core stage, any sort of debris that might be around the area that you want to pay attention to whenever it crosses by and whatnot. And it also could have been that just the camera itself maybe wasn't positioned in the right place when you might have seen it. And it was still supposed to either maneuver itself into a different location or whatever it might be. I can tell you there's a lot of them. I don't have a number for it. So each of them have their own unique use. And unfortunately, we may not see all of them as the public, but you will be able to see the majority of them, either during launch or right after launch or any sort of B-roll that may be
on the
available.
ground. I know NASA said that there's over 150 cameras either on the pad, around the pad, on the tower, monitoring every little detail.
And they're huge also, which is pretty impressive. I mean, when you get the chance to go up there and see them up close, you think in the back of your mind, it's a regular camera, it's sitting there and everything else. And if you're not trained to look for them, you really can't point them out because they're in this massive enclosure that is essentially going to withstand the entire launch environment as it goes through it. So yeah, it's pretty impressive.
That's awesome. Great.
I'm getting live fact checks texted to me. So there is a 360 camera inside. None of the cameras are going to be live. They're all going to be pre-recorded. And there are going to be microphones. Again, not live, but you'll be able to hear from the microphones after the recording's released.
Barry, thank you for that. And maybe I misread the documentation. So none of the cameras on Orion can stream back live. It's all pre-recorded, and this is an important detail just to get right.
Yeah, that is correct.
Okay.
Gotcha. Thank you. My
So
apologies.
we're getting no feed until it returns.
There's a downlink. I have read that as a
live. that I don't want to say you're not getting no feed till it returns, but you're not going to get it live.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gotcha.
The reason I remember that is because I remember that being a big deal with Artemis 2 is that we were supposed to get views because they're testing that new laser optic system.
Yeah, NASA and Lockheed Martin will be releasing video, I'm sure, throughout the mission. I can't give you exact days that you're going to get it, but I don't think we're going to have to wait for it to return and then, like, take the film out of it. No, it's...
Wow,
gotcha.
that's exciting.
It's helpful. Thank you.
I'm really
I appreciate
excited
that.
to see, just from the launch vehicle side of things, I didn't get into space until probably 4 or 5 years after the last shuttle launch. And I can't remember, but I was probably one of those people that just assumed the shuttle was still launching at that point. So I've never watched a shuttle launch live. So I think this will kind of be, it's like watching an even upgraded, more powerful shuttle launch. So I'm really excited just from a space history point of view, like actually getting a chance to see that potentially in person or at least live, you know.
I think that's awesome that you weren't even around for the shuttle program, but you became inspired to start following recently after that. That is wonderful. One of my biggest fears when we retired the space shuttle was that there was going to be a 4-year gap in human exploration, and I was really concerned at that time about if you're not launching, that is the thing that like makes people really pay attention, and humans going into space really inspires people, and then it brings everybody to Brevard County to watch it, and it's on the news. It is really good to have multiple spacecraft launching humans back into space again, and it is just a thrill of my life to be a part of the program that's sending people back to the moon.
Yeah, something reflecting on the shuttle program. I mean, I did try to tune into as many launches as I could, but it became white noise, much like, Crew Dragon and Soyuz launches have become. It's safe. Relatively, speaking. I mean, it's become routine, and I think that's for people. We lost somebody. There goes the camera.
Everything's off.
I think that's the challenge for people who put ourselves in this position of trying to communicate these stories of space, is trying to get the general public to understand why these missions are so important to pay attention to. Because I know for myself, the shuttle became a bit of a white noise, and when it was gone, I was crushed. And I made a point to go and see one of the shuttles flying on one of the carrier aircraft, the one that was flying into Dulles. I made sure to go see that because I was like, the last time I'm going to see the shuttle fly. So I think that this is an opportunity for everybody to embrace the technology we have today in communications, to tell the story and to keep it relevant even in the off-peak times.
Absolutely.
I want to go back and touch on something else that Ken said, if that's all right. He said that he thought these space shuttles were still flying, and you know what? I really appreciate what you communicators and influencers do to help tell the story of NASA, even though you're doing it on your own time, because it is so important to have people understand, or at least just be a little bit knowledgeable on it. You have no idea how frustrating it is to drive 1 hour outside of the Kennedy Space Center and talk to people at in just common areas, parties, grocery store, whatever. And there are 3 common misconceptions. One, when the space shuttle was retired, NASA closed down. There's no more Kennedy Space Center. That is a very common one. Wow. 2, commercial companies purchase the entire Space Center and they run the entire facility now, every bit of it, even the wildlife. Right? That is a very common one. And then the 3rd most common question I get is, where do you all keep the aliens? And
I second that
be
question.
sure to let everyone know that aliens do not come to our solar system. They checked the reviews. It only has 1 star.
Oh man.
Honestly, I can't blame them.
Oh man. I was holding
Pretty
out
good.
hope that David's gonna get, just for my viewers, as far as reorganizing cameras. I'm hoping David reconnects so things will just snap back to where they should be, but in a few minutes I'll fix it.
Yeah, I can see David.
David's
Yeah,
good
David
for
is
me.
back.
You might just have to refresh your screen.
Oh, sorry guys, but I'm having terrible stream issues right now. Something is like just going absolutely wrong with my end right now. I don't know what's happening.
I do want to let the viewers know that I'm going to do a giveaway of space ice cream in celebration of Artemis 1. And in order to win this ice cream, astronaut ice cream, you need to create a drawing of David Willis hugging the Space Launch System. So please, I don't care if you draw it with paint, crayon, pencil, whatever. Please submit that to us through, preferably on Twitter, since that's where we all are. Reply to one of the tweets, and we will select a winner, and you will get astronaut ice cream for the viewing of Artemis 1. So again, it's SLS. David hugging SLS is a critical aspect of the competition. And may the best person win. So yeah, reply to one of our tweets, and we'll select a winner. And you really want creativity here. It doesn't need to be beautiful, but like creativity here is a very important aspect of the competition.
David,
Yeah,
can you give the viewers an example?
I'm sorry?
Give the viewers an example.
Yeah, I
You
can
have it
try.
right there.
I don't think we had one pre-prepared.
There you go.
Yes.
There we
Draw
go.
that.
There's your example.
It could be a large SLS. It could be a tiny SLS. I think that there's a lot of opportunity here for
Be an
our
SLS hat.
people. Yeah. So I'll remind folks again on the stream, but astronaut ice cream can be coming your way.
So you're like actually serious? You got like ice cream you're gonna give away?
I'm not playing.
That's pretty incredible.
Well, I would never lie about something like this. Actually, that reminds me, I have a whole box of food from Roscosmos. I might whip out a little bit and have a little taster. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I've got literally creamed borscht, I think, that I've never had before, so we can see what that's like. So I'll be right back. I'm gonna go grab my box of not ice cream. I wish it was ice cream.
Yo,
Space.
my stream's working again. Yo. Okay, sorry. That's very exciting that my stream has decided
Alright,
to
yeah,
work.
I'm excited for the food review. Let's see it.
Food review. Let's see. The Artemis celebration stream has now become a culinary show.
Yes.
So while TJ comes back, I guess I'll take a moment to mention, when you guys were talking about the shuttle program and everything else before. So I was actually one of the other people who also didn't get the chance to see a lot of the missions. I'm originally from Puerto Rico. I was living in Puerto Rico for the majority of the program. Visited Florida a couple of times. Probably saw them off into the horizon and just thought it was something random going up that I didn't really pay attention to what it was. But honestly, having the chance to, be there for the last one, and also having the chance to be there as well for every single one of them being taken out of Kennedy Space Center. So I don't know if you guys remember, Barry probably remembers and might have been there, but, essentially all of the shuttles left Kennedy Space Center on top of a 747. And they did a bunch of flyovers around Florida before they left. So that was definitely a really impressive opportunity to be a part of. And, I try to tell everybody, I love Apollo. It's great. Artemis is going to be amazing. But I think Shuttle has this very special place in my heart because it was kind of the one time that NASA was able to have that opportunity to have a very relatively quick turnaround on missions and have multiple vehicles that are doing the missions that they have to do. And I'm sure we'll get to something like that in the future again, along, the collaboration from our commercial partners and whatnot. But it's just incredible, to have in the 80s, literally a plane that went into space and came back. So, yeah.
That's honestly being a lifelong Floridian. That's probably the biggest thing I've grown to miss. Is honestly the sonic booms, just the constant reminder of us, how often, how frequent it was. And now it's just, the Falcon 9's great and all, but it doesn't give that sort of statewide reminder of, hey, NASA's still working. NASA is still rocking the world. Because right now, the Falcon 9, like I said on Twitter a few days ago, it's just, you kind of forget about it because all that energy, instead of being spread out in a big sonic boom, it's all onto that drone ship. So it's just, it doesn't have that same knocking reminder.
If it was returning to the launch site every week, it may be slightly different. But I think another thing is the shuttle had a character. It's funny how this is turning into a shuttle stream, but you know, from a design.
I mean, SLS is a shuttle rocket. You know?
SLS, yeah.
Yes, it's shuttle derived, so it gets some of the clout, you know. But you know, it's not just a cylinder, which most rockets are, and I love most rockets. But yeah, having a shape that you can identify and anthropomorphize, you know, in every movie because of that. I think
the shuttle is right up next to, I want to say, the R7, and when in terms of silhouettes, those are the two most distinct. Because even the Saturn V can very easily get sort of mixed up with, say, the Saturn 1B, you know, other smaller rockets with launch towers. But the space shuttle with its wings and the R7 with its with those side boosters, those are some of the most iconic and distinct silhouettes just ever in all of rocket history.
Yeah.
Another thing I'd like to Abdiel mentioned something, and I'd like to point it out. The shuttle and SLS is a shuttle-derived rocket, which I think and I think also Ken mentioned something a while back that these are both all kind of connected. SLS, it feels a whole lot like the people who weren't born during the Apollo program and were too young to like get into the space shuttle program. It feels like a combination of the Saturn V and the SLS. Yeah. So it's like a second chance for people to actually get to go and rewatch both of those programs if they missed them, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, I actually came to a realization myself. The last time there was a first test launch of a moon rocket was in 1967. Both of my parents were less than 6 months old when that happened. You know, Apollo 4, they were less than 6 months old. And now they're both in their 50s, and we have Artemis 1 doing the same mission. So it just shows you the separation, but also the significance of how much we've, improved from the Saturn V now to SLS. And people blame it for being old parts, but it's still got so many, I keep diving into, the developments and the engineering, and it's just like, this isn't an old rocket at all. Even the RS-25s, which were ripped from shuttles, had so many modifications since STS-135. It's not the same vehicle anymore.
Yeah.
So I want to just let the group vote really quick. I have 4 different options, and they're all absolutely gross. And it's possible that they're expired because it says shelf life 24 months, and I got these from Russia a year and a half ago, and I don't know when these were made. So we have dried fruits composite. Oh man, Barry's already in the lead. He made one. Mushroom soup. Borscht. And then this one's completely in Russian, so it's just mystery tube. I don't know what's in it.
Well,
so we have borscht, mystery tube, mushroom soup.
Yeah, there we go.
Dried fruit compote.
The mystery tube is hard not to vote for, in my opinion.
I was about to say that mystery tube.
Very scared.
I mean, just maximum suffering. You never
know. Don't you jump. You stay up there, buddy.
Yeah, if you don't want to.
Barry is in the lead for
everybody watching the stream right now. That's the competition.
Looks like David has a new profile picture.
Yeah.
I love it. Orange rocket, good.
Art is my passion.
Oh man!
All right, so I'm gonna go with you guys keep talking while I have this mystery Russian space food out of a tube that's.
Please stay in camera in case we need to, call emergency services or something like that.
I'm actually scared. I don't know why I volunteered to do this. I'm sitting in a box. I'm like, what? I'm gonna use it. Let's do it.
So while TJ does that,
I don't know if I would be nearly as brave as you to eat like expired Russian food.
So I studied in Russia for 2 weeks with the UCF Study Abroad program. And this was back in about 2008. And let me tell you, when the Russian food isn't expired, it's awful. Borscht is terrible. It is really. we were very happy to get home, and we actually had like a UCF study abroad meet and greet with all the other people, and like we were sitting at the table with the people that went to Italy, and they were telling me about all this food, and we are just going, "Ever try borscht?"
What's happening right now is that there's 4-step instructions, but they're all in Russian, and the description isn't very clear. I have to add deionized water, it looks like.
Well, if you want to try one that's less steps, that's understandable.
All right,
I think if
will
he's
try
gonna
the
try
mystery meat.
he has to he has to go all the way, right? I mean, you got to do the Russian too.
What sounds less dangerous? Expired curd cheese and fruit puree, or expired borscht?
Expired borscht.
Borscht.
Stay away from the cheese.
Yeah, borscht.
Does the borscht have sour cream in it?
I think it's in Russian, and he probably can't tell.
You probably can't tell. If it has sour cream in it, you probably want to stay away from that too. Otherwise, it's just tomato.
What's a little botulism? It's okay.
Someone in my chat just said, "Are we about to watch TJ food poisoning?"
You need to like a little
very
bit,
possibly
mix them all together.
There's a YouTube channel that reviews
They're-
military food.
This
From-
is
I
Orion
watched
on this
a channel
one.
where a guy has eaten up to like 200-year-old food.
Yeah, he's eating Civil War tack.
TJ, did you say that was a Baron? Oh no way!
Oh, that's
Oh, it's
sick.
I have a Baron tile. Come on, guys, give me some
Yeah,
credit.
you gotta eat that one.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, you gotta eat Baron.
It'll instantly lose its value as soon as you open it.
There's no Baron.
Baron lost its
vehicles.
value the second it flew.
My lizard has decided he doesn't like my little SLS and has just knocked it off my table. So that's pretty
Okay,
awesome.
it doesn't smell like it's sour
Starship
or bad. It just smells like it's borscht.
fan, he drinks Kool-Aid.
Is borscht a synonym for bad by any chance?
How much
Oh,
Kool-Aid
that's
has your
dry.
lizard
Hold on,
had?
we're gonna squirt some out. That's not hardened.
Oh, there was a pretty good question that has passed, but I wanted to ask it because I saw it. Somebody asked, what do you want the impact of Artemis 1 to be? So that's for everybody. I just remembered it.
Sorry about my dog.
So if anyone wants to answer that question, because I think that's a pretty good question.
I can
That's a
jump
good.
in on two things I want the impact to be. We talked about how Shuttle is still like running the space world's perception, and I do want that to be updated. Oh, my dog's going crazy. Melly, come here.
Agree. Every movie still has the space shuttle in it.
I think, yeah,
Because
and I don't
it's
think
so
Artemis 1 will
iconic.
change that.
I mean,
but
you pick a rocket. You can even pick Starship, but Starship just reeks of, somewhere in between. It's just a generic rocket, and it looks so 50s.
I think when
It doesn't. It's
Starship,
not distinct.
yeah,
The shuttle with its wings, its orange tank. You can even from 100 miles away. It's just 4 or 5 pixels on your screen. That's a space shuttle.
don't
Even
know.
the Saturn V. I'm telling you, even that gets confused.
I think
by the
Starship
by lay
actually is
people.
rather identifiable, but who knows what it's actually going to look like. If Starship with its flaps and stuff starts flying a lot, I do think that will become pretty recognizable, but it's
Yeah.
not free use like Shuttle is. So that's another issue, is like that's actually owned by a company, whereas you could, I'm wearing an Artemis shirt that who knows if NASA was even involved making it, because it's all free use. I can, you can use the logos and their designs and stuff. I think one thing that Artemis 1 probably won't do, but maybe by the time we're doing 3, 4, actually landing on the moon, is make the consciousness shift to like, oh, something different is happening now. Because that will be an event that, especially the first one, the whole world will be watching. So that's one impact. And the other
big
impact...
difference is between Apollo and today is that with Apollo, you had all the families gathered around their TV sets. Now, the accessibility of information, people would read newspapers about it. But now, we will, as it's happening, people across the world will be watching it from television sets, from their phones, from their game devices, and their iPads. Literally anyone, anywhere. There is no restriction. This will be easily the most easily accessible event ever to occur in history, because we will be streaming all the information. But on top of that, everyone everywhere can have access to it. Even somebody in Africa, in undeveloped Africa, with an old television can still get it, because the technology goes backwards that far.
That's actually a pretty good point, because like even with the shuttle, sure, there was the NASA feeds and all that fun stuff. But nowadays, literally, like look at us right now. We can like stream whatever we want, and so everybody is going to have a stream of these launches of Starship and of SLS.
And think
So
even beyond the launches, if they're on the surface for a week, 2 weeks, month, later on in the program, how many live streams from the moon there will be of the astronauts doing work.
Yeah, who's going to use the footage in the background for something though? Like me, right now, I'm running a shuttle, slow. The shuttle launch slow speed. What somebody could use that similarly, but for their background of their stream.
What I want from like a communal aspect is, I've gone to a concert in a movie theater. Like sometimes big artists will do that. They'll live stream an album dropping, and they'll have a concert. And I went to the movie theater site, bought a ticket to it, and watched it live. I really want to watch the Artemis 3 landing live on an IMAX screen with like 100 strangers in a movie theater. And yeah, I'm glad there's actually people that work on Orion. Someone throw that out to NASA, because that needs to happen. That's my goal for Artemis 3.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. We got some time to work on that too.
Yeah.
Here's what so we talked about the misconceptions of what NASA's like right now, but NASA really has been doing some really great job with communications, especially with the rovers. Everybody knows about Perseverance. Everybody saw James Webb and those new pictures that came out. Everyone saw when the black hole picture came out. Everyone saw Pluto. Those are all amazing. They capture the imagination of the public. What I'm excited about Artemis 1 is that it is going to be the reminder that NASA is doing more than just probes and rovers and robotic exploration. We are going back to the moon, and we're going with people, and we're doing it unlike we've ever done before. I am excited to be able to. I do a lot of STEM education. I volunteer at First Robotics competitions, First Lego League competitions, First Tech Challenge. I want to be able to talk to students, especially young females. If they say, I want my career path to be an astronaut, I want to walk on the moon someday, I want Artemis 1 to be the thing that makes you go, that is a career possibility for you.
Yeah, honestly, that's the nice thing about the industry as a whole right now is I can't stop coming back to it, day after day. It's just right now, even though I did the numbers, we're a very long way from beating the 90s, where we were sent up 1,000 people in a decade. Anyway, point is, we're getting really close to a special point with Starship, Orion, Starliner, Dragon 2, Dream Chaser, New Shepard, Spaceship 2, Shinzu, Orion, if it ever comes online, Soyuz, India's spacecraft. There are so many different methods to space, because right now it's not just becoming a career, it's becoming an industry in space. Not to support space, to be in space, because there are so many different methods up there right now. It's just mind-blowing. Eventually, we're really close to a point where we can see routine travel that will take dozens of people. I mean, New Shepard already takes 6 at a time, and what I think Starliner is still certified for 4 or 5. So that's, these are huge leaps.
Yeah, and we're seeing some private, like Polaris and Inspiration. I think Artemis was a big thing that made me start the YouTube channel that I made also, because everyone is involved. I mean, we've already had Rocket Lab launch an Artemis mission, and we're going to have CLIPS landers. And so it's something that brings a bunch of people together that maybe even disagree on space things. Like, I think I met David and Mike here probably arguing with them on Twitter initially, and then we became, good friends. And so, you can have it's a good thing about space is like you can have the debates, but at the end of the day, when something launches, we want it to succeed, and we all are on the same team, as much as I make fun of like team space stuff. But
yeah, well, for the most part, we all have the same end goal.
Yeah, we want to go back to the moon.
Yes,
exactly.
And Artemis lets people go back together, which is fun to see. Just the names, if you name all the companies that are involved either already with Artemis or bidding for Artemis, you've pretty much named every single space company that there is.
Honestly, that is the one thing I really like about Artemis, is that it is the most inclusive. I've tracked, between the Artemis Accords and all those companies, the list of, not just the list of companies, the list of countries and locations involved with this return spans more than half the globe. It's incredible. It's easily, I don't want to say it is because I can't confirm it, but it's, if it hasn't at least matched the scale of international cooperation of the ISS, it is really close to becoming the largest, collaboration internationally in space, easily.
I wanted to align,
and that's the whole point.
To Barry's perspective earlier on NASA doing great PR work and communicating out these missions. What does get lost on like space super fans, like folks in this chat and folks watching the streams, is that we wish that people paid more attention in the off-peak times and wasn't super exciting. But when it's go time, when these missions are launching and when they're happening, the world is watching. And that's largely due to the great work that the folks at NASA and their contractors are doing. And, I'd like to think that people like us are also making an impact on that as well. But when Artemis 1 is happening, people are going to be paying attention. And we're approaching a busy season for us, we'll just say. So even though it may have felt like no one's watching us or knows what's going on a year ago, in a few short weeks, anybody who's tapped into the news is going to be aware of what's going on, or generally aware.
I think this leads to a question I wanted to ask Barry and Abdil is, when I talk about Artemis, one of the first questions that comes up is, how is this different? Or like, oh, we're going back to the moon. We went there. And there is so much different that I just kind of word vomit, like, oh, this is different, this is different. What is a good way, once all this attention turns to us in 3 weeks, because your friends are going to ask you because they know you're a space nerd, oh, they're doing the moon thing, what's up with that? What is a good answer?
To stay.
Yeah,
Abdil, it's the simplest words. It's to stay.
Amen.
Abdil, you go first. I'll go next.
Yeah, I think honestly, the most important thing of it all is that we're not just leaving flags and footprints this time, as opposed to what we did during the Apollo program. The entire Artemis missions are based on having an opportunity for you to establish a sustainable presence on the moon and then be able to develop something that can give you a better understanding to then eventually go on to Mars and beyond. So it's very different from the Apollo program in the sense that this time, we're really not in this competition with another country. We're actually collaborating with other countries and other companies as well to be able to get to the missions that we're doing right now to go to the moon. And that's the majority of what it is, the whole Artemis missions. We're trying to establish that presence in another body that we're able to say to ourselves, we don't have to be a civilization or a species that only lives on planet Earth. And you start realizing that there's a lot of other companies that are doing the same thing. And one way or another, Artemis is kind of leading the way for them to be able to do that. So that's like the simplest way that I can say it. I can go in depth into it more, but that's probably the answer that you want to give your friends and families when they ask you. Barry, you can go ahead if you have other stuff to add.
No, that's fantastic. I would add, a lot of the times you get that question, they want to know, what is the science return that you're getting for the money that you're putting into NASA and the space program? They want to know, why can't you just have robots do everything? They want to know, what is it that you're going to research differently than you researched during the Apollo program? So the quick answer I like to give is saying that we've been to the moon is kind of like saying I went to the New York airport before, so why would I ever want to go back to New York? There's some stuff I haven't seen yet, okay?
I like that.
All 12 moonwalkers went on landing sites on the equator of the moon. It's the driest, most bare portion of the moon. So if aliens came and landed in like the Arizona, portions where you don't have people living, or if they land in the Sahara Desert, would they say, why would we ever want to go back to Earth? No, the equator there is very dry. We got a lot of really cool research done on the Apollo program, but the Artemis program is going to go to multiple different launch sites, maybe return to some of those at some of the missions, but one of the really cool things I'm looking forward to is we're going to go to the south pole of the moon. There are craters there that are so deep, the sunlight has never touched the bottom, and we believe that there is solid ice down there that we can go and harvest. And if you can go and harvest that solid ice, you now have water for the astronauts to drink. If we have landing systems that are hydrogen powered, you have a fueling station. We're going to go, as Mike said, to stay, but this is how. We're going to be able to build bases. We're going to go to places where we can actually harvest resources off the moon. And if we just went with the Apollo program and never went back, we wouldn't have even known that there was resources there for us to harvest.
Yeah.
And I think Very actually mentioned one quick thing, and I'll take a moment to actually give that, I guess that, what's the word that I'm looking for? That sponsorship, I guess, for lack of a better word. You know, there's this something called NASA Spinoff. If somebody that's here hasn't listened about it before, or anybody that's watching in the stream, and you'll get to see the hundreds and hundreds of technologies that on a yearly basis are created from efforts that NASA has done through its partnerships with companies that are technologies that you and I are using every day, you know, and it goes anything from clothes to shoes to equipment that the fire department is using right now to what planes are utilizing to communicate with everybody else. And that's just, you know, the tip of it. So it just shows you that, you know, we're not only doing it just to say that we did it. We're not really only doing it just to say that we're giving ourselves an opportunity to go be in another planetary body, but we're also doing it, like Barry was saying, to return back to our kind and essentially make this world a better place. So yeah, check off the NASA spinoffs if you haven't had the chance of doing it. And each private company has essentially their own websites that does that same thing as well. I know Lockheed is very proud of the work that they do that gets used, you know, in other areas throughout the industry. So when you get a chance, take a look at it and you'll see that your taxpayer money is being put to use in something that you use on a daily basis quite more often than you would think.
You know, I've had an idea for a while. Spinoffs is that we need like a portal, a centralized port. I mean, they put the publication out. I've seen that. There's articles and things of that nature. But there's an opportunity there for some kind of immersive portal to show how different aspects of daily life have been influenced and and taking like piece of tech, and here's 5 things that go back to a particular mission or something that is a bit more of a playful experience for, you know, the general public, so that they can really understand how money we're investing today is impacting technology and science in the future.
It's something
also great.
We've had NASA at Home at one point was one of them that was kind of similar to that. I don't know if it's still online or not. And there was one for aircrafts and aviation where you can kind of go into your house and click around different things that you would normally see in your house and how NASA has like impacted that. But it's funny that you mentioned that. So while I was working with the NASA folks, I actually went to a conference and I met the folks that work, you know, the spin-off publications and the documentation and everything else. And one of the things that they mentioned to me was, they were like, Abdiel, if we had the chance to put the NASA meatball on the things that NASA has actually collaborated with, kind of like how, you know, Adidas has their own brand and all that other stuff, you will see the logo everywhere. And that's just something that it would be nice if people would have the opportunity to, you know, communicate it and get the chance of spreading it over. But they really can't because, you know, it's a government agency and we're not here in the business of, you know, sponsoring and making money off of it. But yeah, it's really fun to see that, you know.
If there were NASA logos on everything, it would breed even more NASA conspiracies.
Yeah, the funny thing is, it's not even on things we can all see, because like my mother, she developed training modules. I don't know if you've ever done like on the job training. That's what she does for her company. Annoying, yes, but the point is, even those modules and the steps and the, you know, you should do this. This is the advice you should take, came from NASA specifically for the Apollo program, so that they can better train their training people. You know, they could train the simulator operators. You know, they had to develop that, and now it's in use in corporate America. And you wouldn't even imagine that would be something. It's just procedures. You wouldn't imagine that would be something NASA would come up with. But no, that has its roots even there. And going back to a previous topic you guys mentioned, you know, robots versus humans. The simplest point I have on that is that how long have we had rovers on Mars? What, 30 years now? And yet the amount of technological return from that, not saying they're bad, but, you know, in what was it, 6-7 years of Apollo, and that changed society forever in terms of technology, you know, electronics, computers. You know, it just, I can't put it in any simpler way. 7 years on the moon changed everything, but rovers don't really do much for us.
I wouldn't say that they don't do much for us, because they still. I'd say that Apollo did a whole lot because it got a whole lot, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
it was heavily invested into.
Are underrated. I was watching a video last night about how Perseverance had a few rocks stuck in its like
It's tire
collection chamber, and the whole mission was like, oh, this might fail because like 3 or 4 pebbles were there, and it's like you could get a 3rd grader to fix that in like a minute if they were there, but it's
Humans.
And like this
Human
billion-dollar robot,
exploration.
it is fragile in a way that a human isn't, even though we think of humans as, you know, something you don't want to
Also
expend.
fragile.
But
Yeah.
We're uniquely fragile.
I guess brittle is a better word. It's like as soon as the robot encounters something outside of its design scope, it's toast usually. Or you have to get really creative and spend a month getting pebbles out.
Human exploration is very important in the entire space exploration business. I mean, you can send as many robots as you want to. I don't think we're at a point where we have the capability to replicate through a robot what a human can do on Mars or on the moon or any of that other stuff, which is the essence as to why, you know, we're sending humans in these missions and not just anthropomorphic robots.
Beyond science, there's also just philosophical reasoning for humans being there. If we're talking about exploring and why do we want more knowledge from science? It's to affect humans' lives. And why do we want to explore? It's to expand humanity's knowledge and horizons. And if people aren't the ones that are actually out there exploring, it kind of begs the question, like, what's the purpose of of building these rockets if we're not going to bring people out there?
I mean, I think it's important to the most useful application is when we're doing it in tandem. So just like on Artemis 1, they have all these CubeSats going. So, you know, they're going to look for, you know, you have Lunar Ice Cube going to look for the ice. You have Lunar HMAP, you know, hydrogen, like Barry said, for the maybe a future fuel depot. And then you have Biosentinel looking for, you know, how radiation affects biological matter. So, like, that's going to really contribute to when humans arrive. So I think that's important.
And Andrew, actually, you mentioned those CubeSats, and we totally forgot to mention it. Some of those CubeSats are being done by universities as well and other countries. So it's pretty impressive how you don't have to be a major corporation to be a part of these missions. I mean, you can be in school right now and you can be actually working on that. I actually have somebody who was my intern who's now a full-time person at Kennedy Space Center working on the mobile launcher that her university actually has one of the CubeSats that was going to be doing that. So it's just impressive how you can be a part of these missions no matter what. And I mean, let's talk about, Barry could probably talk about this more, but the whole Callisto efforts, I don't know if you guys have an Amazon device and you've tried telling it to rap about space or any of that, but that's pretty freaking cool. And I'm sure that, you know, they have a lot of other stuff going on with that in Orion. So it's impressive, the work that's going on. Yeah.
Yeah, the CubeSats are, like, when I first started looking into, like, what they actually were, because I'm used to, like, ride shares to low Earth orbit, and, you know, they're usually just, like, a relay or an Earth imaging satellite. They're kind of, I mean, they're impressive, but they're kind of generic. And then when I started looking into these, they're all just fascinating, from, you know, the solar sail going to visit an asteroid to multiple different novel propulsion devices. They're just really fascinating, all of them.
I think Andrew, you mentioned like the interplay between a human and machine, and it's going to be exciting. My hope is that Artemis results in a sort of ISS on the surface where people are always there. That's a huge hope. Oh wow, things really shifted around.
Yeah. Okay. Now
Actually, none of my cameras got messed up. But
okay. Well, people are still in frame. But David is now the host of Apogee's. But I was
nobody changed. Nobody moved back where they went.
Wait, suddenly now I'm in view. What the heck did we lose?
I don't know. David is now the lead person on the Apogee stream. So.
Yeah, somebody's.
I changed my name. Did that send everything into chaos?
Andrew is now the main person on the David Willis stream.
Yes, I am the captain now.
You are the captain now.
So
now I'm gonna take my
coming back to, you know, robots versus humans. Robots are very good about being able to survey, being able to get there. We need to help decide what our landing site's going to be before you send humans there. You want to be sure that that is the location you want to send humans, and that's what the landers are doing for us. They're telling us things like what are the earthquakes like on both Moon and Mars. We've done both studies. The rovers are off going trying to figure out where water was at some point. If we can find a good landing spot where we can do some research with humans on water, that'd be amazing. So that is what and plus you have the orbiters that are really good at being able to be up there for a long time, and they, of course, they can survive extreme cold, survive extreme heat. They don't need oxygen. They don't need to eat. You can send them relatively inexpensive. You don't need to have all the redundancies on them. You can send them less expensive, and you can send a lot of them. And when you actually start sending humans, I'm looking forward to a future where there's robotic assistance to the humans that are there. Unlike anything Apollo had, you could actually have robots going off and like mining some sort of resource or going off and exploring something before their next EVA mission begins. So it's going to be a very cool future of robots and humans at the same time. But going back to the Apollo program, if you look at Apollo 15 and Apollo 17, when the astronauts, Dave Scott, discovered something that was interesting, you could hear the excitement in his voice as he discovered it. He was digging.
Was that the orange soil?
Yeah, I think that was.
Oh, you guys nailed it. Orange soil. So as soon as he found it, immediately he got really excited about it. And then he knew, I'm going to start digging a trench. NASA didn't have to tell him to do it. He didn't have to wait for instructions. It didn't take 45 minutes. It didn't take scientists on Earth to go study what is it that we just found or these pictures. He immediately knew, because humans have a supercomputer in their head that we cannot match with robots right now. But there's also an emotional attachment to it. And hearing an astronaut immediately get excited about something he just discovered is something that I can attach to personally.
Yes.
And then the same thing, Genesis Rock, Apollo 15, when they discovered Genesis Rock, they immediately knew they found what they came there to go looking for. And they were excited when they picked it up and looked at it and basically told back Mission Control, you all are going to have fun studying this.
I think what something I was going to say before the cameras got flipped around is the combination that we're talking about of robots going out there to survey before human and humans and robots working together is, and this is like a perfect example of how the advancement of Artemis is versus Apollo is. I've seen the concepts for the rover being something that can work autonomously so let's say we're waiting for the next Artemis landing. The rover can still go around, use an arm, do science, and then the people, when they land, can get on the same exact rover and drive it around. And I think that's just so cool. It's kind of mecha in a way, where it's like the robot has its own life, but also is a tool for the people. And so even though I'm looking forward to the future where people are always on the moon, the crossover to getting there is going to be really interesting, where you have time periods of just robots and then time periods of robots and people working together.
Yeah. And the thing that's just going backwards, at least, the practicality, I will never forget an article I read once where I think they said the capabilities of an astronaut compared to, granted, this was an Earth experiment, but they still, roughly the same sort of scenario of the similar tasks in a similar amount of time. The human could do 300 times more things in the same amount of time. And like you said, if they encounter an issue, the astronaut can overcome it immediately, as opposed to, having to wait for, or potentially in the case of the mole drill that you guys were talking about earlier, just completely gave up on it because Mars spat it out.
Yeah.
Another good example, Apollo 11, when they got back into the lunar module and they were taking off their EVA suits, Buzz Aldrin broke the handle on his control panel, so he immediately took out his space pen and jammed it in there and used that. Try to get a robot to do something like that.
Yeah, if Buzz Aldrin had been a robot, I don't think he'd be back on the moon by now. I mean, back on Earth.
If Buzz Aldrin was a robot, he wouldn't have survived, what was it, Gemini 11 when their computer failed?
I think that was Neil Armstrong, wasn't it?
That was Buzz Aldrin. That was Buzz Aldrin. I know that.
Yeah.
But you see, if he is a robot, we could just rebuild him.
That's
he's
true.
too crazy. He's crazy enough. I could believe he's a robot.
I think it was Armstrong and Dave Scott on their Gemini mission that started spinning out of control.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
have a
right.
question
It was
for
that
you guys. I recently read a lot about the problem with the regolith. Like I knew it was a problem during Apollo, but I didn't realize how big of a problem it was.
Huge.
It's a miracle
fascinating to read
17
about it.
survived.
I know, it was
there's so
really-
much damage.
Really bad. So I was wondering if there's any if either SpaceX or NASA, I know NASA's probably been working on it with studies and research, or if they have, if you know if anybody has made progress on how we're going to address that for Artemis 3 and so on. Because I have no idea.
So I can tell
I'm
you
gonna let them speak.
that there's definitely some work that has been done, at NASA to try to identify that. And there's some additional efforts occurring within our R&T community. So while I was supporting the research and technology community over there at Kennedy Space Center, those of you that are familiar with SwampWorks and whatnot, it's a facility at Kennedy that essentially dedicates themselves to developing, really cool technologies that can help the industry. There's some work that's ongoing with that. And they actually have a test bed that simulates the moon environment and whatnot. There's pictures out there somewhere. I'm sure if you Google it, you'll see it. And so there's many different companies and enterprises that have been working to try to solve that problem. And I'm looking in my Rolodex of data, what I can and cannot share, and that's probably as far as I can go. So
I was going to say to that, for the base, I'm really excited to see what base module proposals we get eventually, because that to me is the exciting part. But if Starship, hopefully, and it continues to be our lander, and if it continues to be a lander for Artemis 3, I know they have an airlock set up. Just due to the size, it kind of makes sense. Whereas, back in the day, you just had to walk into the main cabin with all the dust on you.
Hopefully honestly a long-term health issue. With those longer missions, you're going to be inhaling more lunar dust, and given how it's micro glass essentially, definitely want to try to minimize that as much as possible.
If they're able to use that airlock, it'll be interesting to see how effective that system turns out.
An airlock would be the most effective because you're going to be isolating the crew quarters and the outside environment. At least you'd have that membrane that can be the barrier.
Got a good
and with the Apollo program, I believe that, I'm not sure if it was on 11, but I believe that there was a vacuum system on the lander where they did try to collect as much of the regolith as they could before going back and docking back with the command module.
I don't remember anything like that, but I do know that they did try to pressurize lunar dust before they ever got in. I remember there being information where they threw lunar dust in the lunar module. They pressurized it with them outside, just to see if it would combust and how it would react to pressure. And obviously nothing happened, so they proceeded.
Yeah, I think that what's going to be part of what's be going into it is just they'll have more deliberate cleaning. I mean, not that they weren't deliberate cleaning, but new techniques. The materials will be slightly different. But yeah, the human factors of regolith are big. It's common for astronauts to have reactions on their skins or develop a cough from the moon, and they're only there for a few days. Yeah. And it's not from them walking around on the surface; it's from when they take their suits off inside. So it's an active problem, and the best solution that anybody can really come up with is having some sort of airlock. But the only vehicle at the moment that can support that is Starship. But a future lunar base should have one dedicated on the surface, so it wouldn't necessarily be as big of an issue. The other alternative that has been presented many times is having rear entry suits similar to the Orion, they would just kind of hobble up and back up to the lander, and the suit would dock to the lander, and then they just kind of
honestly I'm kind of concerned with that idea because I could see that being an additional point of failure in long term. No, I'm not saying it's not unsolvable problem, but I mean, over time, dust will work into the system, and that will wear down the seal. So that would have to be something else to be addressed in long term for months and months of reuse, and reattaching. You're gonna, even if it's small, just a handful of dust each time, that's gonna eventually wear down those seals between the hab. You would have to have some sort of a tertiary. You would need an airlock between the suit lock just to guarantee that as those seals break down, that it doesn't compromise the main base.
Sure. Yeah.
Now, going back to the original effort of the whole lunar dust environment and whatnot. There's a lot of other pending questions out there that we're going to have to develop some technologies, and we're going to have to try to understand how to how to be able to live and work in that environment. And again, I'll do the NASA plug here. There's this thing called the NASA Technology Taxonomy, if you all haven't heard about it before. And it's 17 different technology areas of interest that NASA had developed, where essentially they're showcasing areas where you need to invest more time and money into to be able to explore the environments and the areas of it. And so I actually had the chance of being a participant of that while it was being developed. And let me tell you, I mean, lunar dust is one of the issues, but there's so many more that need to be resolved. So it's impressive the fact that we're so close to actually making this a reality, even though we have all of these hurdles that may or may not still be there to be able to achieve these missions.
As I've said from the beginning, it's just once we're there, then we can tackle those greater issues, radiation, actually, how are we going to recycle things? How are we going to utilize the lunar surface? But we have to get there before we can ever tackle those problems. Otherwise, it's just more ideas to the wind ultimately.
I think we talked about a 1:30 time as far as ending the stream. Now, I'm not saying we have to keep to that, but if we are, a good wrap-up question may be, where are we watching the launch from, and what part of the mission are we most excited for?
And before we do that, since we do have about 10 minutes before that 1:30, do we want to maybe see about opening it up to audience questions?
Yeah, we can do audience questions and also crown the winner of the space ice cream.
So far, the only one I've seen is Barry, so we're going to prolong the competition.
It's a side job, it's rigged.
Not that I don't want to send you ice cream, Barry. I'm happy to send you ice cream. To regroup for any of the new viewers, we were doing a Artemis celebration competition. It was the winner was going to get astronaut ice cream, and only way to enter is you have to draw a picture of David Willis hugging SLS, and send it to us via Twitter, email, Discord, whatever. Barry has an example. It doesn't need to be elegant, just creative. Draw it, use paint or whatever. Looks like I already have. Looks like I got one already from Luke Prail, so I'll try to pull that up before the stream ends. But send them over, and we'll select a winner, and you're going to get some astronaut ice cream.
Yeah, tag us on Twitter with it.
Since we have multiple, I guess, streams going on and all that other stuff, do you guys want to go through maybe each of your individual ones and pick a question if there's any over there? I know I'm just here through Discord, so I can't see anything else, but I know you guys have different YouTube videos and Twitters going on, so that might be the best way to go through the questions.
Yeah, everyone nominate a question from their stream, and
yeah, that's a good one question per stream. Sounds like a reasonable thing to do.
All right.
Here, I don't really have many questions. Most of my people are just telling me how bad my stream was. Okay, so I'll let somebody else find a question first.
I've got quite a bit coming through on mine. I got like 4. I'm trying to read them and pick out my favorite for the first one.
Wow, that's a lot of questions.
I got a question about the deadline for the Willis drawing. Let's say end of day tomorrow.
Okay.
That's a good idea. You guys have a day to work on your art. Someone asked me if I ate the food. I did eat the food also. It was it kind of burns now. A little bit, if I'm not gonna lie. It was way more liquidy than I was expecting. It was the borscht, the mystery meat pouch. I need to use Google Translate because everything is in Russian. It's written in Cyrillic or whatever, and I don't know what any of that means. So
did you taste the mystery meat? I mean, the mystery tube?
Well, I didn't because there's pouches, and I don't, and I'm not sure the order. I'm fairly certain though that I'm supposed to open it up and put this distilled water in, and then mush it around, and then eat it.
I've got an interesting question here. I don't think this is an answerable question, and because I don't think it's known, but I'd like to hear our opinions on this. Someone asks, will there be an Apollo 9 style Earth orbit test where Starship and Orion dock to each other, kind of like when they tested the lander and docked for the first time? As far as I know, there is not one of those.
Yeah, there's now. However, we may see different Apollo 9 tests individually. We may see Starship perform some sort of landing maneuver, with a pseudo simulated lunar surface in Earth orbit, just so that way they don't have to spend the money to send it all the way to the moon. And we also will guaranteed see tests of the spacesuit, but on the International Space Station. That was the limitation of Apollo 9. They didn't have a space station.
Yeah.
They didn't have the technology to actually fully render a lunar surface in in an empty space. The only way to simulate it was either with small scale or really run it with numbers, but even then it still wasn't accurate and it wasn't as dynamic. Nowadays, we can put it through the same paces in Earth orbit, get the real performance data from Starship, while also still being able to put a simulated cast. But even then, my money would be that we would send Starship all the way to the moon and not do that test. But it's possible.
Are they gonna dock it with anything, or are they just gonna?
I can't imagine
The first
they dock
docking
it
of
with
Starship
Orion
will be to
because-
Orion.
Because
Yeah,
I was gonna say
yeah,
it is a
it's great.
little interesting to think that the first time the two actually dock will be people on board.
people
We're
on the
doing this
moon.
thing. Yeah.
Yeah, at
Yeah.
the moon.
As of now, that's the plan.
I
A
mean,
part of
the
the
docking
HLS
system isn't anything new, so there's no
Yeah.
reason to.
part of the HLS contract requires the HLS provider, which is SpaceX, to do a uncrewed mission prior to the landing. So we will see a full up Starship launch, retank, send it to the moon, do the mission, come back.
Yeah.
HLS part of the requirements for HLS 2 is I believe it needs to be able to loiter at the moon for up to 90 days in orbit.
Yes.
So there's a lot of these various various requirements that are required of HLS that will happen at the moon, but
And
Mike
they'll
said and everybody, a lot of the stuff that was tested with Apollo 9, Apollo 8 or whatever, we've proven through a lot of other technologies, and we can test in other means. So it's kind of a mission that it would be a relatively a waste of time and money because of what we know today.
Yeah, I totally
and
agree with that.
I think that there was a briefing yesterday that occurred when they were discussing the possible landing sites for Artemis 3, where a question was asked on how the mission is going to go. And so from my understanding, you'll have your human landing system going and essentially departing before Orion does, getting to the moon, and then afterwards Orion will eventually dock with it to be able to complete the mission. But that's as far as I am aware of that I remember on
That's
how
what
that
it
is supposed to
seems
be
like.
operating.
And that's the 90-day loiter seems to be kind of to catch that, because at least for the first Artemis missions, the plan is not only for the lander and stuff to launch before, but the lander will be ready and checked out in NRHO waiting before people ever board and launch Orion.
And they want that leeway because launch windows for crew launches are different and everything, and they need that time, that flexibility to have it hang out. So it was a 90-day minimum requirement, so likely, Starship will have the ability to loiter much longer than that.
And pretty much every lander proposed is like a multi-launch thing. And with the idea of having to launch it before and get it all the way out to the moon, the Artemis launches, at least for space fans, will be a very long, month-long event, multi-month-long event of watching the first launch, the depot launch, the refill
lots of
launch,
big rockets,
the HLS launch.
That is the one nice thing about this Artemis program is that with Apollo it was just one event, whereas this it's not only just one. It's not just launch. It's launch, EVA, docking. You have so many different activities.
Yeah, the missions are like a month long versus a couple weeks at most.
Yeah, I think that
and
may
then
be
the
another
lander-
thing we
the
have to
lander
explain
itself-
to people, but it will be more fun for us at least.
And I'm gonna have to dip out here, guys. If you're here in a few minutes, I'll be back. I just got to drop somebody off. So.
All right.
I
So
feel like we
does
should
anyone
point
want
out
to?
I'm not going to turn off my camera to not screw up anything. I'm just going to disable it.
I feel like
I
we should
don't
point out
even do
Artemis
that.
Technically,
Yeah, just leave your camera up, dude, because if you do that, then it's gonna mess. It's just gonna mess everything up.
Well, I'm not going to
No.
disable. I don't know.
It
should-
reorganizes if one person even just
Yeah.
turns their camera off.
Just put
I just
blur
hit
on.
his frame on my feed.
Or Mike, if you can wait a few minutes, we can wrap up the stream right now because it's
Oh,
fine.
no, I think I got something.
Anyways.
I got something.
First, where are you watching the launch?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, I'll be watching the launch in the press site hill, hopefully alongside with you, Barry.
I'm not invited.
I understand. All right, you guys enjoy your stream. Don't bother me. I got sticky tape.
Okay.
All
Cool.
right.
There you go.
Whatever.
This is
Alright.
the type of human problem solving we're talking about.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Where are you watching it from?
This is
It's like
that
a
big
Apollo
piece of
13,
computer
they
up
put-
there, right?
Swigert put the label over the jettison switch.
All right, so
Oh,
who
man.
was up next on?
I'll go next. I'm seeing it for. I'm probably gonna see it from my basement. I can't get down there. So I will likely be just doing a live stream with everybody. And witnessing it online, just like everybody else. But I will be seeing it in person. I just won't be able to see it for the first time, unfortunately, which kills me.
Well, there's always going to be an Artemis 2 and an Artemis 3 and an Artemis.
That's right.
Yeah, and there will also be a first launch.
That's for sure.
There will also be a first launch of Block 1B, but hopefully.
Yes.
So there will still be another first SLS launch, which is most rockets can't have multiple first launches, but so I probably won't be there live either. I gotta move my wife back from Missouri like the 28th, so I may just be getting back the day of the launch, unless it delays out. And I can plan a really fast trip to Florida, which
you never know.
Probably attempt, but we'll see.
So I can go next. So I am still trying to decide where I'm gonna be able to see it from. So it's either gonna be from the Cape Canaveral Space Force side, since those are the people who I work with now, or it'll be from the NASA side, depending on the availability of access and whatnot. So we're still trying to figure out the details of that. But for the rest of the people that are here that are watching it, I do want to give a quick reminder. The exclusion zone is pretty big, so make sure you're aware of the places that you can and cannot go. Do not leave it for last minute. There's going to be a massive amount of traffic. I think I'm hearing over 100,000 people to almost 200,000 people, and I still think that that's a low estimate in my opinion. So definitely, take advantage of understanding where you could see it from. Playa Linda is going to be closed, unfortunately. I think they posted that yesterday. For those of you who know in Florida, that's a really good place to go see SLS from, but it will be closed. Dang. And bring snacks, fuel your car, and expect the long time frame that you're going to be there. It's a 2-hour window.
Yeah, come early. So, yeah. People, I know people are coming out night before, camping out and just getting their spots.
I live in Orlando, which is literally an hour away from the Cape, and I regret not getting a hotel in the Cape. That's how worried I am about having to do the drive.
How many people were at Demo 2? There was a number on that, but I can't remember.
Over 100,000 people.
Okay, so I would expect much more than 200,000. Honestly,
yeah, and I was there.
I was one of those 200,000. I saw that.
Yeah, I was there for Demo 2, and let me see. I watched it from the visitor complex from the Atlantis lawn, and it was probably 2 hours to get into the highway, and that normally takes about 20 minutes. That's how bad traffic was. So yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna take a day or two to see this thing. But yeah, Barry, where are you seeing it?
So the employees had a lottery for placards to be able to go to the causeway, and I did not win. So we are allowed to go watch it from my building, which is the Neil Armstrong Operations and Checkout building. I can't be on the roof. I have to be on the ground, and trees block the launch pad. So I'll be up close. I won't have a direct view. Regardless, though, my brother works on the spacecraft with me, and I'm looking forward to watching it with him. And okay, Andrew, you're talking Titusville, right?
No, I'm not, but I was talking to them about this upcoming launch. Yeah. Okay,
and I gotta go reach out to them. I'm thinking this week I'm gonna start tweeting a series of where you should go to watch the launch and what you should do after, depending on what your site is. And I'll delve more into that because I've got some suggestions for people.
That would be really great because I am in limbo currently. I got a couple options, but I have no idea where I'm going to be watching it. I mean, I live an hour south, so technically I could watch it live by just walking outside. But I would love to be much closer than that.
Absolutely
not. Currently working on that.
Barry,
I applied for the KSC visitor influencer thing similar to NASA Social. So I'm waiting to hear back from them because I skipped NASA Social trying to buy a ticket to feel the heat, and then that didn't work.
I heard that was really hard to get into. Yeah,
spent 6 hours staring at that little blue man walking across the screen. So,
Which
yeah.
one of us are going to charter a boat out to meet Orion when it splashes down?
I was about to say, if anyone charters a boat while
That's the pro
SLS is
move.
about to launch,
Yeah, just like
no boats allowed, please. None.
Good
None
luck
at all.
finding it though. It's going to be so far out there. I don't really think that they're going to make it readily available because it's splashing down the Pacific Ocean.
I think
little bigger
also
than the
from
Gulf.
Demo 2, they are, they might keep that a little close to the chest.
Also,
was so
the
ridiculous.
boat is like I don't know what the recovery boat is part of the U.S.
USS Anchorage.
What's it called?
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
cool.
Navy.
It's a lot
carrier.
bigger,
Yeah, a
and
little more
there's a
official.
lot more people with military equipment on that boat than the SpaceX one.
Yeah.
So
It's the
I don't
USS
imagine anyone will be allowed to get too close.
Yeah, the boat's the USS Anchorage, and they're
Barry, you muted.
Barry, you
over
got
100
muted.
sailors on that boat.
Okay. Great. Well, I had a great time working
Hold on,
through.
let's go. Where you should go to watch the launch? Let's go. Let's do this. All right.
Okay.
Space View Park is an amazing place to go. It has the handprints of astronauts there, an amazing view across the river, and it's walking distance to the downtown Titusville area. And the best places to get coffee are walking distance there for Space View Park. Very near Space View Park, you have Sandpoint Park and Maxwell Brewer Bridge. All three of those parks and the bridge, they're all walking distance to each other. And if you go on the other side of the Maxwell Brewer Bridge, there's a kind of beachy area there where you can park RVs or camp out if you want to. I'm sure it's going to be very busy. Like Abdil said, be sure to bring a cooler, bring water, bring bug spray. It's an early morning. Then bring sunscreen because you're going to be there for multiple hours probably. The other good suggestion is Cocoa Beach, because if the launch is scrubbed, you have a day at the beach. And nothing's, that'd be the awesome day. If you just hung out at the beach all day long, you'd be having a good day. And it has a fantastic viewing, and there's lots of things to do in Cocoa Beach. The main one I would suggest, though, if you go to the old Titusville Mall, it used to be called the Searstown Mall, now it's just called the Titusville Mall. There's not many stores left in there, but it's a huge parking lot, lots and lots of parking. And it's next to some really great restaurants. You have the Lloyd Have Mercy. Inside the mall, you have Valentino's. A brand new Italian place opened up called Olive and Vine. And afterwards, if you go inside the mall, there's a really cool game shop called Game Space where they have virtual reality and board games. You can just hang out and play some board games while traffic clears. So that's my suggestion. Go to the old Titusville Mall where there's lots and lots of parking.
And across that called now, it's just called Titusville Mall.
You need to become the Titusville spokesperson, Barry. It was excellent.
I was going to say, yeah.
Across from the mall is the William J. Manzo Park. You walk across walk across US 1 and go to that park, get up against the river. There's lots of space inside that park as well.
Barry, if you do end up making a post on this on Twitter, can you tag me on it? Because I like to share it with everybody else. That's actually really informative.
I'll be sure to retweet as well.
Yep, definitely.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right.
So,
did we miss anybody?
David, you're doing NASA Social?
I'm actually, hold on.
David got in.
I got in, but
Into
there's
Orion.
something else. There's something else, and I'm just getting confirmation that I can say it.
Okay.
Well,
You're riding on the rocket.
Are they going to let you hug, or are they going to let you hug SLS, David?
This is break.
What?
Are they going to let you hug SLS, David?
No, not that. But I've got an invite for something very cool, and you'll find out later.
Okay.
You
Wow.
teased.
So you're saying there may be a spot open in NASA Social. I'm going to email him right now.
You're going to take that fourth spot, that fourth seat, David, on Orion?
That's what I was
Yeah,
thinking.
I'm the fourth seat. You got me.
Hey, one more thing.
David and 3 mannequins going to the moon.
With no life support.
Yeah. Well, no. I'll just bring up one of those oxygen
little
tanks.
tank of oxygen. Yeah, 42 days.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be fine.
Yeah.
What? Bottle of water,
Only a few weeks.
some snacks. I'll rough it like a Kerbal in Kerbal Space Program, you know?
Hold your breath.
Yeah, just hold my breath for me.
He lives and breathes SLS, not oxygen. So I mean, he's set.
Yeah, you'll have plenty of that there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, one last thing, just one sentence. What's your guys' favorite? Would be your favorite moment of this launch? So,
Seeing the main parachutes, those beautiful main parachutes, and watching it come in and leave safely, because I'm going to be nervous as heck until that happens.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I don't blame you. The view
Mine
I'm
is,
looking forward to is seeing Earthrise from Orion. That's what I want to see. That's the moneymaker. That's probably what's going to make me tear up, is that shot. I mean, seeing SLS and all of that getting there is going to be great, but I have that picture on my wall. It's a very meaningful photo to me, but I know the whole world. It's spurred, Earth Day among many other movements from Apollo 8, and I think it'll be poetic to see the Earthrise in the new Artemis program.
Needs an update, so
Yeah.
So it's funny.
I'm looking
Go
forward
ahead,
to specifically booster ignition.
Okay.
Because I really want to watch giant solid rocket boosters to fly again. And
Yeah.
then I'm looking forward
gonna be
to photos from Orion around the moon, as well as CubeSat deployment if we get that from Argo. But I'm not 100% sure we're going to get that, but we might.
There is a camera in the interstage, so
Okay. And they'll
it
shoot
will be
out,
captured. Will be broadcast. I don't know, but it will be captured.
I know that Argo, the CubeSat, is going to be deployed first, and because once Orion separates, I don't think they have telemetry, so they're using one CubeSat to get deployed first, and is going to film the deployment of the other CubeSats.
Okay.
I believe.
I've got a quick question from chat. Is one of those CubeSats is gonna land or crash land on the moon, right?
Yes, that's going to be. It's the one from JAXA. Darn it, I had all of the CubeSats up here. Oh yeah, Omen Tanashi is gonna do like a medium hard landing, I guess they called it. So basically, they're gonna it's in deploy late, and then they're gonna fire thrusters to get it on the right course to crash into the moon. And then right before they hit the surface, they're gonna fire a solid rocket motor to slow down, and then they have like an airbag, and then they're gonna slam into the moon.
So Artemis
it'll
1
be the
is a
smallest
landing
lander
mission.
Yeah.
It'll be the smallest lander ever, and it'll also be the 4th country to land on the moon successfully.
Oh wow, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I'll tell you all what my face is, and it's funny because it's actually very much so attached to the effort that I was able to gracefully be a part of, and it's essentially the moment that the rocket clears the tower, because that's pretty much when EGS gets to take a breath and said, we did our part, up until it comes back down again, because it'll be the responsibility of EGS again. So definitely once we hear it's cleared the tower, we can say that at least the program did their part with all the ground support equipment and whatnot. So that's definitely going to be my best moment.
I have no doubt. That's gonna be going your way.
Yep. All right, David, you wanna? What's yours, and then I'll go.
I will. My favorite moment that I'm looking forward to is it's just a few simple words. Artemis 1, you are go for translunar injection. That's gonna be the big one, because once it does that, it's heading to the moon. There's nothing that can stop it.
That's when it becomes more than your typical Leo mission, for sure. Yeah,
absolutely.
So mine are close to yours, Andrew. I almost thought you were gonna say booster separation. I want to see booster sep. I think that is such a dynamic, like highlight reel moment of a launch.
It's iconic too, because we've seen it, in good definition so many times already through the shuttle. So it's gonna be nice to see it.
I want to see that, and then my number 2, I was gonna say, is Orion with moon in the background, preferably from one of those selfie stick solar panel cameras. I really, at least from the renders where you have that reflective material that Orion's made out of, that chrome-like look with the moon in the background, if we get some type of lighting interaction played like that, I think will be a very wallpaper worthy.
The amount of PR imagery that's going to come out of this single mission is going to be absolutely mind blowing. We're gonna see these shots for like definitely the next 2 or 3 years.
2 or 3 waiting for
on repeat, but I'm not gonna hate it. It's like going back and watching like Percy landing or something. Like I go back and watch those footage or those shots, and I'm like, this is chef's kiss.
Solid B-roll for Apogee.
Yeah, I'll take it. Well, I think is that everybody?
Yeah. Hey, couple more things. For those that go to Spaceview Park, and I told you about the handprints of the astronauts and the different statues that are there, there's also the Space Walk of Fame there, where this National Space Club nominates names to go on the granite there next to the names of all the astronauts. And my name was added back in February. So whoever can go and find my name and take a picture of it and tweet it at me, I'll get some Orion swag for that person or anyone that does.
Oh, there you go.
Where's this again?
Was it Spaceview Park?
Spaceview Park. Let me write that down.
Spaceview Park in Titusville. Oh, also 2 days before launch, there is a first robotics competition at Vieira High School, free and open to the public. I'm going to be part of the opening ceremony. There's going to be between 500 to 800 people, and any of you guys that wanted something cool to do prior to the launch, if you're there the weekend of, it starts at like 8 a.m. It ends at like 5 p.m. And it's going to be robots. Robots from all over the state are going to be there. Space Coast Showdown, Vieira High School.
I love that.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for being a part of this, and thanks to Big Mike for setting it up, even though he's not here anymore. But yeah,
really cool to see all you guys in sort of real life. I mean, closer
I think we
now,
should
right?
try to do our best to maybe if time permits, find some time to do this at some point while Orion is still on the moon or something. Because it's going to be a long mission.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's great. I obviously I think everyone's going to do some sort of stream for the launch or something, but there's definitely milestone events throughout the mission that would warrant bigger conversations. So I'm down with that.
Yeah, I think if we do it again, it should be we should definitely do one while Orion's at the moon. I think that would be a pretty fun.
That'll be the very show right there. That's his baby,
I mean, it's easy, and if anybody wants somebody else to just, I'm always free, and I already set all this up. So if you guys ever want somebody to come talk, if you want somebody to come,
Andrew mainly wants to do this because he put all the stuff out. So like, it's like
no, this all stays here, all right?
Oh, this was temporary. I rolled my TV out and everything. I gotta do a lot of cleaning
ramble
about
this. CubeSats, I'll be there.
Yeah, I like that new blend you got back there, by the way. I'll give you that quick shout out. I like how they're close to each other with the SLS. That's beautiful.
Yeah, I wish they're on a scale. My Falcon 9 is humongous. Look at that thing.
Is that new blend the same scale as the SLS? Because I thought SLS was like a little bit taller.
No, SLS is just
Block 1 is slightly shorter.
It's
right?
97 meters, and then New Glenn 99.
Okay. Yeah, it's like 10 feet of a difference between one and the other.
So New Glenn is taller than SLS Block 1?
The other way around. SLS is slightly taller.
Oh, okay. I might have flipped them then. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. They're very close in height. Yeah. I think we were joking about this yesterday, but New Glenn is basically, it's like SLS a little bit thinner, no SRBs.
Yep.
In terms of scale.
Yeah, in terms of scale. Obviously, it's a lot different.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the New Glenn is 1 to 108. And SLS is 1 to 144.
108. Wow, that is an odd.
That's a very strange ratio. Yeah,
I have no idea. And I broke it coming out of the box.
That is a personal goal of mine. I want to get all of the flying rockets, American rockets at least, at the same scale.
Somebody needs to
I need the financial investment in the place to put that first, though. So, but
I was about to say, Tim is trying to do that.
Yeah, someone needs to make them not $500 one day.
Yeah, it's tough.
Oh, shoot.
Oh, we lost somebody.
Well, that's a good note to end on, I guess.
Yeah,
hey,
thank you, everybody.
You guys are working at the Kennedy Space Center. I wanted to give a shout out. You all need to come join the Kennedy Space Center Anime Club.
Okay.
It is where all the nerds from across the world end up at the Kennedy Space Center. And then this is like, if the Kennedy Space Center is a mountain of nerd, then the Anime Club is the summit.
It's true, though. I remember getting the emails for that while I was there.
My Hero Academia shorts on here.
All right. Well, I'm going to wrap up my stream, guys. Thanks a lot for this. It was a ton of fun. It's ended in complete chaos on my end. Nobody's refreshed now.
Mine as well, yes.
But I can hear you. Let's aim for it. Next time we're hanging out, Orion will be at the moon.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, let me know. I'll be here.
Bye,
Appreciate it,
everybody.
guys.
Bye.
Later,
See you
everybody.
guys.
Thanks for watching. Really appreciate it.